I'm over watching this.
Heyo!
Hey.
We're entering our flop era.
Shit's bleak out here. All right.
18 plus. Who wants to get milked?
What kind of quality we have here at Debate This.
I need the edge. I need what the raw, unfiltered internet can bring you.
This is probably only going to be the third or fourth dumbest thing I've said today.
That's for nobody.
Just out there raw dogging the internet.
Way more hog than I expected.
It's about as much hog as I anticipated.
This is going to be one of those episodes, isn't it?
Here comes the cow. Here comes the cow.
All right, let's get this over with so we can play Magic.
Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and how you can call it esports or esports. You can even call it esports, but you can never call it esports. That is a joke written for a visual medium, which we are not, but it is a joke that is very funny to me. I will explain the way that this is typed in the notes.
No, I actually think you shouldn't.
Oh, okay.
I actually think it's better.
It's better left unexplained.
We went over this once before.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
7 years ago,
Yeah.
The joke is fine.
I'm going to make an advertisement graphic using a quote from friend of the show and esports person Aya later.
That's what it was.
Yeah. But today we have another flavor text for you. If you've never listened to one of these episodes before, flavor texts are kind of like audio book reports about a single subject or topic commissioned by a listener.
If you've never listened to a flavor text before, holy shit, welcome.
Oh, these are where we get all of our new people. All the new folks come in flavor text. That's how we get them.
Piggies find their slop.
People have alerts set for key words and phrases, and sometimes we trigger those.
If you vibe with this kind of content, you can commission your own flavor text right now at patreon.com/debatethiscast. We'll talk about whatever you ask us to. Want an in-depth look at the lore of Helldivers 2? Or maybe a full synopsis of the CW's Smallville? You can have that. Again, you can get all the details at patreon.com/debatethiscast.
Matt, you can just watch Smallville.
Okay, no, that one's fine. That one's fine.
Yeller's Andrew's dog.
No. Do you guys remember when we did Warhammer a couple years ago and we were like, oh, I'm one divorce away from making this my personality? Mm-hmm. Well, because I've already gotten into Warhammer, I need a new I'm one divorce away from. And watching all of CW Smallville and talking about it on a podcast is my one divorce away from. Now.
There's what, 11 seasons of Smallville?
That's a lot.
Too many.
No way.
No, I'm not willing to. It's
no way.
It's a one piece amount of content,
and it's a 1 hour. 45 minutes on streaming show.
A 1 hour Monster of the Week show that is 90% irrelevant.
Yeah. That was good for 3 seasons. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think Supernatural is on the same network as probably the only thing that tops it.
Yeah.
This is, however, something different. There's something different about today's flavor text. See, unlike our last dozen or so commissioned episodes, nobody asked for this. No one asked. That's right, listener. I have trapped you in an audio prison of my own creation. Keen-eared listeners of the show may know that I am both an avid fan and active coach of esports.
But not esports.
Because I'm going to spend the next few weeks answering the question, so what's esports? At every family holiday gathering I go to, I've decided to take this opportunity to tell you about it.
We are wrapping up season 8 of this show. I have just stopped getting, so what's a podcast?
Yeah, man, that's so real. God, that's so real. Joining me today are Andrew Faker Henderson, Todd Shroud Thomas, and Kyle Mango Harper, to whomst I will spend the next 2 hours giving a history of modern esports. Any comments on middle names?
I mean, are these tags? Are these tags?
Yeah, they're esports
players?
people.
You got it. These are 3 of greatest of all time type of people. These are your LeBron's James or your Michael's Jordan.
No, Matt, we would have known what GOAT meant, just so you know. You didn't have to correct yourself.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
We have been online before.
So much more than we need to.
What a great transition, because before we load up and lock in, I would love to know either what you know about esports or how esports have crossed your path over the last few decades?
Yeah, I knew that I was never going to be able to do it since competitive Quake was too fast for me to watch. And I also realized that I was born, let's say like 10 years too early to like legitimately be on a career path of, oh, I'm going to play video games professionally. Like just missed that window.
Yeah.
The day that I got bullied away from or off of playing League of Legends when Todd and I played League of Legends for that 6 months, was the day that I shut this proverbial door of a career path for forever.
Yeah, my skin is way too thin to deal with competitive online gaming that lets people interact with me and vocalize how they feel about me.
Yeah, I'm constantly one YouTube comment section away from changing my entire life and personality entirely.
From watching the CW's Smallville.
Also, one YouTube comments away from most. I know how to spell esports, and and most recently, most of the television that I watch, as we determined on the last episode, the last mainline episode, most of the television entertainment I watch these days is Magic the Gathering arena drafts, which is technically esports. So.
It's technically esports, absolutely.
Not even playing it, just watching the arena drafts, huh?
I refrained from commenting because we're going to talk 2 hours about how Matt watches Overwatch.
I've got Overwatch on my other monitor right now.
Literally right now.
Andrew absolutely doesn't watch drafts on MTG Arena while he's himself drafting on MTG
I don't
Arena.
because I need 300% of my brain focus, so I actually don't.
Now I'm at the point where I'm splitting hairs trying to decide if, because like you said, Matt watching Overwatch, I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine, that's different. And then I'm like, but wait, is it different? And how am I justifying that it's different?
It's not different.
We can't split the hairs that way.
Yeah, my slop tastes no better than anyone else's slop too, I suppose.
Real quick, my first like knowledge of esports was, I think, StarCraft, which I think is after Quake. But that's when I seeing professional StarCraft players play was when I was like, all right, this video game thing is just a hobby.
Yeah. Dude, so fast.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fast. Yeah. That's great. Those are all great answers. I got into esports like hard in 2020. I'll talk about it. COVID. Some people got sourdough bread. I got competitive video games. What I will say is that I'm sure all of us at one point or another played in like a local GameStop Super Smash Brothers tournament or Halo's. Really? You're shaking your head no at me, and I'm surprised by that.
No, I've never. No, never.
I've lived slop like this.
Well, then I won't finish that sentence. Long story short, esports didn't necessarily begin with Quake, and that's why I am going to start way before that game came out. There is an entire flavor text to be done about the era of competition in digital spaces during the 70s and 80s. This isn't it. My goal is to provide a history of modern esports. So yeah, what you think of with like Overwatch, Valorant, League of Legends. And by that, what I really mean is esports post Y2K. That said, I do think it's worth talking about the way competitive gaming culture began. And so I invite you to join me back in the year 1972. The Godfather set the box office record that year, and Don McLean sang to us about the day the music died. Also, a bunch of nerds at Stanford started playing a game called Space War. Space War was developed 10 years earlier at MIT, but it took a decade or so for the game to become widely accessible. On October 19th, 1972, and sponsored by the Rolling Stone magazine, the first intergalactic Space War Olympic was held at Stanford. And this is considered to be the first ever video game tournament where they had free beer.
I have two things. One, Rolling Stone magazine used to be so cool.
Yeah,
and two,
so cool.
Space War looks like it's played on an oscillator.
It kind of is, to be honest.
Nothing.
Yeah, so it was 1972.
Oh, this game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a vector graphic video game played on like some of the earliest graphic interfaces that existed. The reason that it took 10 years between this game being developed and it becoming widely available is because other places didn't have monitors yet. And then they needed to have the right code to run this game on a monitor, of which there is one of in the entire state where the university exists. So this is very early video game. But I wanted to point out that they had free beer because I'm going to point out along the way some of the prizes that people have gotten for esports over time. It's very interesting.
I hope you talk about
sword?
my favorite modern prize payout when we get to it.
I don't know. We'll see. I might.
We'll see. I won't spoil it until we get to that era, but it's great.
So jumping forward a couple of years from 1972 to 1974, competitive gaming had found roots in the arcade scene as home gaming wasn't yet common or accessible. In Japan, Sega was looking to boost the sales of arcade cabinets, and this mission led them to launch the All Japan TV Game Championship. Local tournaments were held all over Japan, with 16 finalists competing in a grand final. Arcade games at the time were largely Pong-likes. There was like Pong and tennis and soccer, and they were all pretty much the same.
Sure.
The winner of this one got a new TV. It was black and white. I don't know why it was specified, but it was. Yeah.
That was like a $5,000 prize in 1974.
Yeah.
Pretty good prize.
Here's a fun quote from Sega stressing, quote, the importance of such tournaments to foster better business relationships between the maker, location, and customer, and to create an atmosphere of competition on TV amusement games. Basically, Sega saying, hey, there's value in creating competitive spaces for our games because it improves the relationship between us, the developer, the players, and the places that host or the spaces in which these events occur. That right there is the fundamental core of esports written out nicely in 1974 language.
I mean, this was after the fact, but like, look at how many Air Jordans have sold from a player whose career ended 2 decades ago. Like,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like, people want to be stars in the thing they like to play.
So jumping forward again to 1977, a company called Gremlin Industries, which was just another arcade developer, was looking to sell cabinets of their new game Hustle in the US. Hustle was like Snake. Eat dot, get longer, survive. Mm-hmm. They employed the Gremlin Girls, 2 women who may be the first professional gamers in history. Sabrina Osment and Lynn Reed were sent on a 19-city tour where challengers could attempt to beat them in a best-of-3 round of Gremlin's new Snake game. Numbers vary depending on source, but the general consensus
very cool.
is that Osmond and Reed faced around 1,300 challengers and only lost to 7 of them.
That's so cool because they built like rage baiting into the model from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they knew that arcade nerds were not going to be able to handle losing to these 2 women.
Sure. Yeah. It was, this was like a professional hustle.
Yeah.
Yes. For the game
rules.
Hustle.
Yeah.
So those who beat them, of which there were alleged to be only 7, got $100, which isn't nothing. I don't know what that is in 2025 money, but it's probably more than 100.
It's like $80,000 in 2025 money.
Yeah, it's real. And listeners at home, for some of our other flavor texts, we have an Imgur gallery. I don't have really any pictures to go along with this, but I've got a number of clickable links, all of which will be included in the show notes. And I do have a link for the Gremlin Girls. But that was 1977. And the competitive gaming space was changed forever.
It's about $550.
That's crazy. God damn.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, the competitive gaming space was changed forever in 1978 when Space Invaders debuted a high scoreboard. Until now, there was no permanence to a high score. If you set a new record on a machine, you just had to hope your friends believed you. Now, gamers could travel from arcade to arcade looking to climb any ladder possible.
And that legendary player, Ass, began his multi-decade career.
Yeah, arcades and the Pizza Hut close to you were never the same ever again.
Yeah. After 2 full years of grinding ranked, the Sweaties were ready to devour each other, and in 1980, Atari gave them the opportunity at the Space Invaders Championship. This was the earliest large-scale video game competition, drawing over 10,000 participants across the U.S. The tournament was run by Rebecca Heinemann, who went on to be one of the most influential video game coders of all time, writing code for systems from the Atari 2600 all the way through the PS4.
Whoa. Jesus.
Amazing.
I heard the tournament was run. You have was won in the notes.
Oh, I meant to say was won. If I said was run, then I take it back. That's a big difference.
God, that's awesome.
Holy shit. She co-founded Interplay.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
So Rebecca Heinemann is a big deal.
Yeah.
She's known for, the Bard's Tale series. She actually, oh my gosh, she just passed away like 7 days ago as of recording this.
Oh my God.
Holy
cow. She passed away. I saw as I was writing this, and it dates the episode, but it is definitely a big one. We lost a good one.
She led other projects such as Heroes of Might and Magic, Baldur's Gate 2, a lot of like 2000s, 90s and 2000s era PC stuff.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean, Fallout.
Sorry, go ahead.
I recognized her picture when I ran the search, because it was going around. It went around a lot in like Gamergate arguments of like games were better before these types of people were working for them, and would get schooled in the comments by people who were like, you put some respect on Rebecca Heinemann, who has been there from video gaming day one. And that is to say, you put respect on anyone who wants to work in video games, period. Because it's a tough field. And
it's terrible.
Yeah.
Arguably the worst industry to work in, but that's not this flavor text.
Also recognized and awarded for her advocacy in the LGBTQ plus community as a trans woman.
Hell yeah. Love to hear it. Love to see it. So now that game competition had spread to a national scale, someone needed to keep track of everyone's high scores. Enter this guy named Walter Day, an arcade owner in Iowa who founded Twin Galaxies, a high score record keeping organization.
Now, Matt, you know what we're going to ask here.
Old time G4 TV fans, you know who Walter Day is.
You sure do.
I was going to ask, is Twin Galaxies the official landing page for Pokemon Pinball score checking?
Oh, so sure.
Twin Galaxies has been questionably offline for the last 3 or so years. The website that I've referenced about the Pokemon Pinball 2 high score is retroachievements.org. That's where I'm at there.
Gotcha.
Anyway, back to what we're doing.
I believe Twin Galaxies went down with the fallout of the Donkey Kong lawsuit.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that today, but I know what those words
that's
mean.
another flavor text. But I remember that being a casualty. Go watch The King of Kong. I remember that being a casualty from the downfall of all of that, or the
that sounds right.
Postscript of all that.
Yeah. Okay. So the next few years saw a handful of events similar to the Space Invaders Championship. It also saw Twin Galaxies publish high scores with the Guinness Book of World Records. And in 1983, Twin Galaxies founded the U.S. national video game team, who I would call the first esports team.
But not the first esports team.
But the first esports team. Yeah, you get it. 1983, which even when I started doing this flavor text, 13 years before I thought the first esports team would really exist.
Yeah.
The U.S. national video game team did a lot of events and got a lot of pop coverage in outlets like Life and Time magazine, which again used to be so cool. This gave birth to celebrity gamer culture through one Billy Mitchell, who we will not be talking about anymore today.
Yep.
And we will forgive this event for inventing celebrity gaming culture.
Yeah, they didn't know. They had no idea.
Didn't know.
The U.S. national video game team also ran the Video Game Masters tournament for Guinness World Records. And this was, at the time, the height of gaming competition. It was also the only contest that Guinness World Records recognized. So if you wanted to get your video game score in the Guinness Book of World Records, you had to come prove it at the Video Game Masters tournament. This event ran from 1983 to 1987. From here, we move into what I call the proto-esports era, from 1984 through about 1995. The concept of a high score ladder and events like the Video Game Masters tournament revolutionized the culture around competitive gaming. Playing at a high level was no longer just about bragging rights among friends. Not only were winners claiming actual prizes, but sponsors were starting to understand the marketing value of competitive gaming. By 1984, the quote profession of gaming was becoming somewhat legitimate. I'm calling this the proto-esports era because while competitive gaming had its place on the fringe of pop culture, it lacked the larger ecosystem that defines modern esports. I'll talk more about that later, but for now, let's jump to 1984, the year after the video game crash. Now, if you've never heard those words in that order, go check out our flavor text about the console wars. It'll also be linked in the show notes. Long story short, home video game systems like the Atari 2600 were declining in popularity and arcade gaming was on the rise. Just 4 years after the Space Invaders Championship brought out 10,000 participants, Konami and Centuri came together to raise that bar. In 1984, the companies jointly held an international track and field arcade competition.
Is this the same track and field that was on the NES?
Yes, this is the same track and
field. The one
field
that you could play with the bottle cap.
Yes.
Okay, it is the same one.
Yes, but this is the arcade version, not the NES version. This is
the... Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Drew more than 1 million players from across Japan and North America. Playmeter, which was a coin-op industry magazine, called the track and field event the coin-op event of the year and an event on a scale never before achieved in the coin-op industry.
Is coin-op like
arcade
cabinet? Like
yeah, so like coin-op
and all surrounding things like skee ball and stuff, I guess, would also be coin-op.
It's the industry term.
Yeah. Coin-op, it's also like what pinball is underneath.
Sure.
It goes back the whole way to the early 1900s with like your original penny farthing games. And coin-op industry has been a term that is now kind of almost dead. I don't think most of the industry rags exist anymore because industry rags were killed by media conglomerates. Anyway, not what we're talking about today. After coordinating 2 Masters tournaments without the support of their original partner, Guinness, the U.S. national video game team worked with the Amusement Players Association to host their first competition. And there's not a lot of info about this, but it sure is referenced a lot. I linked an old PDF. It's got some source info if you want to check it out. Like I said, there's not a lot of info, but boy, does every article reference, oh, and yeah, the U.S. National Video Game Team and the Amusement Players Association did a thing this one time. Yeah.
It's the bite of 83 of esports.
Like the Radiohead concert in that one like underground pub in 1991 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a moment that I described to Maddie as the JFK assassination of esports, and I'll tell you when we get there.
Good.
Yeah.
So our humor is so cyclical.
Yeah, it is. It's all just one bit. While arcades were having their heyday, home game consoles were still struggling. This was due in part to the rise in popularity of home computer systems like the Commodore 64. With more computers entering more homes, this tiny little monster called the internet began to emerge.
And that was our first mistake.
Al Gore's internet?
Al Gore's very same. While the internet had existed for a few years at this point, there wasn't much to do with it. There were a few commercially available games online, but in 1988, one called NetTrek launched. And I'm going to tell you up front, NetTrek, Star Trek game.
Thank you.
NetTrek was a follow-up to 1986's X-Trek, also a Star Trek game. NetTrek was the number 3 commercially available internet game. X-Trek was the second. NetTrek was written almost entirely in cross-platform open source software. And it was also the first game to use meta servers to locate open game servers, and the first game to store persistent user information. That's a lot of jargon. What that means is like you had a profile ID and you could log in and it would retain your stuff. And also, when you wanted to play a game, you didn't have to set up the server for it. You could say, game, I want to play, and it would go find a server to host for you.
Wow.
Interesting.
I think that's really significant considering what a year or 2 years before was the release of Legend of Zelda, which was the first game to use a save state.
Yeah.
Right. And like most games didn't have saving. Most console games still had passwords at this point. So that does feel really significant.
It's a really big deal. And NetTrek in 1983, Wired magazine called it the first online sports game.
Which is funny because it's a Star Trek game.
Yeah.
Well, I pulled up NetTrek's Wikipedia page here. It is not a licensed Star Trek game.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a
Star Trek-like.
This was not released by any studio. This was a game two developers made, and then it got passed around. Like it just like this was a free to play game on top of all of this.
This is a spreadsheets the game.
This is early Blaseball for the weirdos amongst you.
Yeah. I have not thought about Blaseball in a while.
I was going to compare it to EVE Online, but Blaseball.
EVE Online was what I was thinking.
Let me read this last bullet point. NetTrek is currently the oldest internet game still actively played, as well as the oldest MOBA alongside X-Trek. Now, I will say my research makes it really clear that as recently as 2023, people were grouping up to play NetTrek. I fully believe there are people still doing it. I do not have a link on the internet to point to.
They're just doing it like under 8 layers of VPNs.
Yeah.
They're the type, no one knows they're online.
I mean, it's the same person. There are people who are in ham radio clubs as well.
Exactly.
Yes. Exactly. It is exactly
the same type of personality.
And some people like to ride penny farthing bikes.
Yeah. And hey, if you're one of those people, fucking get at it.
Yeah.
You're killing it. We love you. Not if you're a bad person.
Great clarification.
X-Trek or NetTrek, whichever one, NetTrek Online feels a lot like you've got to play it on the dark web. And so I don't want to make any assumptions.
You're probably cool.
You're not... Playing NetTrek is not what doesn't make you cool.
Yes.
Put it that way.
Correct.
That's it.
Correct.
Yeah, there we go. We got there. Okay. After the success of the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, the home console industry recovered and began to reestablish itself in the competitive scene. Specifically, in 1990, Nintendo hosted the first Nintendo World Championships. There are full-ass podcasts about the history of the Nintendo World Championships. I talked about it more in detail in the Console Wars flavor text. TLDR is big-ass Nintendo tournament. There you go.
Cool.
Yep.
There were a few shifts in game design during the late 90s that impacted competitive gaming. The first came in 1991 with the release of Capcom's Street Fighter II. Street Fighter II normalized 1v1 direct tournament-level competition between two players. Before this, you were trying to climb the scoreboard. Now you were actually playing against someone.
It's so interesting that this is what normalized it, since like it certainly wasn't the first fighting game. Like there were plenty of 1v1 fighting games before it. It just, this game was such a fucking hit.
Yeah. And that's so much of it is like, you know, there are dozens of fighting games that never made it out of the 100 arcades they got sold in Japan or South Korea or Vietnam or Portland, Oregon. You know, like Street Fighter 2 is a nexus point in competitive gaming. We'll get back to it. I'm going to talk about Street Fighter 2 a lot. The second major shift of the early 90s rode the coattails of Street Fighter 2, specifically in its chase of a multiplayer format. Because why just play against one person when you could instead play against more than one person? In 1993, id Software's John Romero established competitive multiplayer online play with Doom's deathmatch mode. For the rest of the early 90s, the competitive gaming scene looked pretty similar. Nintendo hosted their second World Championships in 1994. Blockbuster also held its World Game Championships that year. That was pretty much the early to mid 90s, a few large-scale tournaments, and the rise of arcade culture.
And Blockbuster never thought that they would be riding high and in business forever.
Yeah. Blockbuster, maybe the first to overinvest in esports. Certainly not the last.
Oh, no.
Maybe the first. Okay. So we've talked about early competitive gaming. We've talked about proto-esports. Now I want to talk about the beginning of modern esports. 10 years after the first professional gamers came onto the scene, competitive gaming was fully integrated into video game culture. But the large-scale tournaments of the early and mid-90s were vastly different from modern esports. Events like the Nintendo World Championships were largely one-off. While there were some annual events like the Video Game Masters tournaments, there was no development circuit, meaning there was no structure for competition outside these large tournaments. There also just weren't many games built with competitive gaming in mind. While Street Fighter II revolutionized head-to-head play, it was still a game for arcade casuals first. High-level gaming didn't have its own game yet, and all of this changed in 1996.
When the Fire Nation attacked.
Yeah. With Street Fighter...
Hang on, wait. The weight in which we all just presented that, the exasperation in that we all thought it. Kyle just said it out loud first, and then we all had to verify.
You all followed, and then the sigh Matt had that we did that to him when it was just like an automatic response to me hearing all of that change.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt, continue.
No, I understand. It's not the player I hate, it's the game.
Yeah.
With Street Fighter 2 and the internet growing in popularity, arguments began. Who truly was the best Street Fighter in the country? And how could they prove it?
People arguing on the internet? No.
I don't see a clickable link in that paragraph, so show me your work.
A guy named Tom Inkblot Cannon had been moderating Shoryuken.com.
Fastest link clicked in the West.
I do not know if that's still active. I won't lie. Street Fighter 2 forum that tracked scores and gave birth to rivalries across the United States. Cannon partnered with Tony Ponder Cannon, is his brother, Joey, Mr. Wizard, Kular, and Seth S-Kill Killian to hold B3, Battle by the Bay.
I mean, okay, Battle by the Bay is pretty good. That's a good name.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a pretty good name.
Yeah.
It's a good name. B3 brought 40 contenders, largely from the US, but also from Canada and Kuwait, to compete in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo and Street Fighter Alpha 2. This is when developers said, well, I mean, if you guys want a pixel perfect, not casual game, I guess we could probably do that.
We have them to blame.
And then you start getting like 7 copies of Street Fighter every number.
Right.
B3 was held at the Golfland Arcade in Sunnyvale, California, and was the first major appearance of Alex Cali Power Valley, one of the first known pros in the Street Fighter scene and innovator of the Valley CC, an unlockable custom combo he used to win B3.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Whoa.
Writing for The Atlantic in 2021, journalist Luke Winkie noted the significant presence of Black Americans at B3. And to this day, fighting games are still the most diverse sphere of modern esports, far and away.
Yeah.
Everyone's got the same quarters to play with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
B4 was held in 2000 and B5 was held in 2001. In 2002, the tournament was rebranded to the Evolution Championship Series, or EVO for short. EVO still happens every year in early August and is considered the preeminent fighting game tournament in the world. I tend to watch a little bit of EVO every year. That's where they play Smash.
EVO's fun.
EVO's really
EVO's
cool.
a really fun time.
Okay.
EVO is, we talk about like GDQ on this show a lot, Games Done Quick. EVO is kind of a similarly like week to weekend long event with streaming all day of all sorts of different competition on all sorts of different channels. It's a big fighting game tournament. It is pretty fun to watch. There are also way more fighting games than you have any idea exist. Every time I look at the games, the game list for EVO, I'm like, dude, I've not heard of a third of these.
Well, it's like you said, it's like the equivalent of the fighting games that were never made it past like the 10 arcades that they first sold to in Portland. There is the modern equivalent of fighting games today.
When we talked about Guilty Gear, this is why there are 17 versions of Guilty Gear XX and all of the other, because again, it's like before DLC, before patches, they would just constantly rebalance, which is the same reason why there are 10 Street Fighter 2s. It's just, you just make the same game and you rebalance it a little bit for the next year, the next season.
Exactly. All right. So on the other side of esports, a new game was about to hit the scene and change gaming forever. This is it. This is the JFK assassination of video games. On June 22nd, 1996, id Software took their Doom deathmatch to the next level with a new game, Quake.
Dude, Quake in 1996 moved faster than Mario Kart does today.
Yeah.
If you think, if you're like me and you feel age pull down upon you each day, and you think that Mario Kart is, quote, just too fast or moves too quick, because it does, Quake was doing that 30 years ago. Like mouse sensitivity to the top.
Yeah.
Like incredible speed.
It's so fascinating how many things come from this one singular video game.
Dude,
like the entirety of GDQ comes from Quake.
Yes.
Right? Like
I didn't know Trent Reznor did the soundtrack for Quake.
Yeah, man.
That rules.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Much like the Facebook movie, Trent Reznor did the soundtrack. Quake revolutionized a lot of things in gaming. I'm not going to talk about all of them. GDQ speedrunning is a great shout. If you want to hear about how Quake gave birth to the art form known as machinima, you can check out our flavor text we did on Emesis Blue, where I talk about Quake a lot. Okay, Quake, it's out. It's happened. We're in Quake Town now. 1 month, one singular month after Quake released, a group of people organized via an internet relay chat channel and founded QuakeCon. QuakeCon became an annual event and helped give rise to the first modern esports shooter. To finish up our discussion,
the LAN party was birthed.
Yes.
Dude. Yeah.
To finish up our discussion on Quake, let's jump forward to 1997 and another tournament called Red Annihilation. The winner of Red Annihilation was the first GOAT of esports, named Dennis Thresh Fong. He is the first GOAT of esports because they gave him a whole ass Ferrari. He won a Ferrari.
Yeah. Holy shit.
At Red Annihilation.
Thresh is a famous name
for playing Quake.
That's wild. That's wild.
Dude, here's a quick question. Have any of you three played Quake before?
No.
Yes.
No, negative.
Yeah, okay. So Matt's in on that one. I played it for the first time. Friend I had in high school, he had like fixed computers. So he had 3 or 4 computers that could run Quake in his basement. And like just a local LAN. And I remember we played once or twice, and I like my agile, untethered 16-year-old eyes could not keep up for it with it. And I was like, I can't.
I imagine it's a lot similar to how I felt when I first watched like Counter-Strike videos.
Yeah. I mean, the change too. I mean, knowing that it's a PC game, just like your agility is so much higher.
Yeah.
And it's just wild.
One of the Christmas episodes that we did, and I don't remember which one, I talked about some crazy messed up joystick that was invented largely for Quake. I don't remember anything else other than that I did that. But I did put a link in here to a video of Thresh's like winning game. It's tough to watch. It is just silent Quake footage for 10 minutes. So don't feel like you need to watch that.
They weren't really worried about view,
yeah.
How watchable
eventually
it was.
One guy kills the other guy. That's it. It's the end.
Just look how if you do pull over your car and watch this, just look how fast it's moving and how quickly the screen spins. Like
it makes me want to throw up.
You could play Halo today and your character will not spin this fast unless you set the settings to do so.
Yeah. The sensitivity on Quake is really bonkers.
It's pretty wild.
I don't know that I talk about it later. Did you guys know there's like a modern Quake? Like people are still playing Quake 1.
I believe it.
But there's like a new updated like modern graphics Quake, which I did not know. I thought that was really interesting.
It's also, Quake came out in 96. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
7.
I was looking to see when like
96.
Wolfenstein and Doom came out.
Doom was 9.
Doom was earlier.
3.
Yeah,
because Doom already had.
That's right.
Doom was.
That's right.
But Doom wasn't fully 3D like Quake was. That's why Quake was such a big deal competitively.
That's why. So I played Doom and Wolfenstein in like the late 90s, and I was just wondering where this landed because obviously the graphics for Quake are significantly better.
By the late 90s, I remember was when you could like more or less start getting Doom for free without trying that hard.
Yeah, I didn't play. My first Wolfenstein was Wolfenstein 3D, which was in 92, and this is obviously a couple years after.
Such a weird children's book series. My first Wolfenstein.
I
don't know
How
why
do you talk to
did
your
that.
child when they play Wolfenstein?
So 1997 also saw the founding of one of the first TOs in esports. TO is short for tournament organizer, and it's a role that is still integral to esports in 2025. This early TO was called the Cyber Athlete Professional League. CPL ran tournaments and events until it was sold in 2008, and they helped foster the Counter-Strike scene in its early years.
Cool.
At this point in 1997, esports is pretty much like Street Fighter and fighting games. And then you've got StarCraft, Counter-Strike, and Quake. And that's pretty much it as far as like large following games.
Okay.
Now, I have in my notes.
StarCraft came out in 98. That tracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a bullet point here This bullet point is where I talk about the Asian financial crisis of 1997. This financial crisis led to two big culture shifts in South Korea. So the Asian financial crisis of 1997 has its own Wikipedia page, and this flavor text isn't about that.
That's why we all know the name George Soros today.
Really? Kyle read more of that Wikipedia than I did. That's crazy.
I knew that. I had to check that.
Oh,
I knew
okay.
that beforehand.
That's pretty good.
It's a dense Wikipedia. I read through some of it. I also got the takeaways that I needed for this flavor text and said, nope, that's all. I'm
control
okay.
Fing for George Soros.
The short version
Now we're
is
on a list.
he made his money.
Oh, I did know this. I did. This was with the currency spec on. Yep, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I do know this. Okay. God, rich people.
The bullet points that you need to know about the Asian financial crisis of 1997 for this flavor text here today is that
sentence until you got to for this flavor text today is incredible.
I know. Especially for this stupid podcast. It led to two big culture shifts in South Korea. One, South Korea had a huge improvement to their broadband internet infrastructure, which revolutionized what in South Korea are called PC bongs, internet cafes. Also, second bullet point, everybody was unemployed. Everybody. So everyone was just like playing games and watching games. Pretty much the year 1997 and a little bit of 1998 in the country of South Korea was just sad people playing video games in internet cafes. That's it. That's all it was. And I feel bad for them, but also it did it. It kicked it off. It changed what esports was in a single culture and gave grassroots an environment to grow. And I am really excited to talk about it because starting next year in our timeline, which is like 1999, we're going to see esports in a way that we recognize them today. And I'm going to tell you, take a quick break. We here at DT HQ are teaming up with other podcasters, streamers, and creators across the internet to help fight hunger. We're fundraising for Feed America, a nationwide, independent, secular hunger relief organization. No one should fight alone, and right now, 47 million Americans are facing food insecurity and losing access to vital support like SNAP. You can join us in this fight from November 24th through December 21st. Donate, share, and spread the word that every dollar raised can provide up to 10 meals through Feeding America. There's more information and a direct donation link in the show notes for this episode, and you can also find more information on our social media at DebateThisCast. With the power of our community, we can fight hunger and prove that while no one is right, everyone deserves to eat. Okay, welcome back. We have run through the competitive gaming of the early years, the proto-esports era, and what I call the beginning of modern esports. We're about to jump into esports as we know them. Before we do, I wanted to check in, see how you guys are feeling, if you had any questions or just any thoughts from along the way.
George Soros mentioned is
Christ.
George Soros tanking the entire South Korean economy.
Not George Soros fact here is that I finished watching that YouTube video during the break, and wouldn't you know, one guy hits another guy with a rocket,
and then it's just over. There's so little fanfare.
Yeah. So obviously, like, everyone's played a first-person shooter. You know, there's an amount of kiting and back and forth, but when it's 1v1, it's really, really tense. And like you said, it's just fanfare. Like, there's none of it.
Yeah.
That and the fact that the screen we're watching, Threshes, is that he, and I'm sure the other guy is too, just cycling around the map, picking up health and armor every time he needs to. Like, it is the worst type of viewing
1v1
experience.
One person versus one person deathmatch in a first-person shooter might be the most boring thing to watch.
Yeah. After the first
super
45 seconds, you don't want to watch any more of it.
Yeah. It's rough.
especially like in this era when they were not designing games with that
Right.
With
Correct.
watchability in mind. Like,
Well,
1v1
yeah.
Overwatch might be better to watch than this because they thought about that.
That's
when they
like,
made
is it Rainbow Six that does like the breach gameplay? So like that is designed to be exactly that. But like Kyle said, it's designed that way.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I did. Non George Soros related fact.
Well, I'm glad we got a non-George Soros. No more George Soros today. That's enough. Okay. From here, the stage is set. Competitive gaming has found its foothold in pop culture. Games like Quake and Street Fighter gave players a digital arena in which to compete, and organizations like CPL and events like Evo gave them a physical space to hold competition. Most importantly, the grassroots of esports found a friendly habitat in South Korea. As the country went online effectively overnight, the popularity of esports skyrocketed. We're right at the halfway point of our 50-year esports history, but from here, things will start to look much more familiar to anyone who has encountered esports post-COVID. Also, things are going to start to happen really fast. Following the explosive rise of popularity of esports across the country, South Korea founded the 21st Century Professional Game Association as an arm of its Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. The 21st Century Professional Game Association is now known as the Korean Esports Association, or KESPA.
That feels so early.
That feels so early. Amazing. I mean, it makes sense. It's probably like one of the main things that like brought their economy back from the brink. So like, I get it, but it's just weird to like think like we don't have, the United States doesn't have a national professional game association or anything close to that.
Right?
Yeah. Not it with full government backing.
No.
Yeah. Right.
So with this founding in the year 2000, the Minister of Culture, Sports, and Tourism, Park Ji-won, coined the term esports.
Legend. King.
Goat.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
KESPA managed the broadcasting of esports, the formation of new events, conditions that players played under, and the promotion of gaming to Korean citizens. KESPA also hosts a League of Legends tournament every year called the KESPA Cup. It still happens.
Wild that they could do that in 2000, 10 years before League of Legends came out.
Yeah.
When you're saying KESPA, you mean the Korean Esports Association?
Yes.
Gotcha. I context clues got me there.
Do they also spell that the S with a $sign?
That's KESPA.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's good job, everyone. Great, we did it.
I thought that was pretty good.
That was pretty good, Todd. I liked
pretty
it.
good.
That was good.
No, it's stupid.
Yeah. Okay, so over in the Netherlands, a game called StarCraft was gaining a lot of popularity.
A game made by indie developer Blizzard.
So much popularity that a guy named Victor Nazgul Goosens decided in the year 2000 that he should start a clan. And he called that clan Team Liquid.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah. Goosens, I'm not sure, worked with Joy Meet Hugeveen, it's all Netherlands, I don't know, to start a website devoted to the news of their favorite game, teamliquid.net. This website still exists now. It's just tl.net. The popularity of the website allowed Goosens to turn Team Liquid into a sizable clan and eventually a professional esports organization, which friend of the show and former guest Aya now works for. We'll talk about Team Liquid a lot through the next hour or so. In Germany, the Electronic Sports League, or ESL, was founded in 2000 as an esports org, much like Team Liquid. And we'll talk about them a little bit more later. The question of is esports a sport is a nagging one, and a question that I'll give my answer to later in this episode. But in 2001, one brave country decided to take a stand. That was the year that Russia classified, quote, cybersport as an official sport discipline, becoming the first country to ever do so.
No, that's different. They thought they were hunting robots with rifles. That's what Russia defined.
That's what cybersport actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like, is that legitimately a question? I mean, isn't that like an undeniable yes?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more later. Not right now. We'll talk about it. I promise. I have space for this.
I mean, like, if you're a person who's like, golf's not a sport, then
you can't have this discussion.
Okay. Not right now. Not right now. Later, I swear to God. Okay. While games like StarCraft and League of Legends hadn't found, well, I don't know why I have League of Legends listed here. That game didn't come out for 8 more years. While games like StarCraft
absolutely had popularity in the US.
The perverts that are winning that game as hatchlings were thinking about it.
Yeah.
I feel StarCraft was big here, but not nearly as
South
big.
Korea big.
Not nearly as it was in South Korea and the Philippines and other. Yeah.
And StarCraft, so what you'll find out is that, like, Street Fighter is pretty international. StarCraft is largely like an EU game. A lot of big StarCraft people come out of EU. And then CS:GO is the North American game.
It was easier to get. It's easier to get small countries all on broadband internet faster than it is to get the United States 50 different countries in a trench coat on broadband in a quick amount of time.
Now that you've brought it up, I played StarCraft online with dial-up. Yeah, like a couple times.
Nightmare, I'm sure.
Oh, it was the worst. It was the worst. I remember we did it twice, like once at my buddy's place because the Brood War expansion had come out. And like after waiting 30 minutes to connect to a game, then like nothing worked. And I was like, what a cool experience. Battle.net. I'm sure I'll never use you ever again in my entire life. I will never engage with you in any other capacity. Battle.net.
And Battle.net hasn't worked any better than that.
That was actually the best
experience Todd had.
Yeah, 2003 was kind of the best it got, and then it got worse. Sorry, Matt.
No, that's all right. Hey, look, I'm with you. Anyway, StarCraft hadn't found quite as much popularity in the US, but there was at least one rich guy willing to dump gas on the fire in 2002 with the founding of Major League Gaming, MLG. Do you guys... Okay, so I was in high school at like peak MLG Gamer era, which was tough. I don't know if you guys like had as much painful experience of the, like, you know, your buddy accidentally 180 no scopes you and then gets up and throws Mountain Dew in your face and screams MLG a bunch. It was like World Star in 2004. It's just what kids were doing, you know? So I
didn't have that experience.
I didn't have that experience.
Holy shit, did I have that
most
experience.
Of my high school video game experience, I remember Mountain Dew Code Red more than anything else.
Yeah.
MLG comes back. We're going to talk about MLG a lot today. What you need to know is they were founded in 2002 by two guys. One guy named Mike Sepso and another guy named Sundance DeGiovanni.
Oh, hell yeah, Sundance.
That's a great name.
They founded MLG largely as a tournament organizer. Like I said, we'll talk about them more later.
It's got big XFL vibes.
Yeah.
This is arena football. It's different.
Okay. That was 2002. In 2003, China joined their comrades to the north and recognized esports as a real sport. In 2004, esports had its first truly viral moment. Anyone who is a fan of sports will tell you that the heart of organized sports is the stories that they tell and the moments that happen at their climax. Esports needed its buzzer beater goal. It needed its miracle on ice. And our friends at Evo bore witness to this moment and what the internet would come to call Evo moment number 37, or the Daigo Parry.
If you think, Oh, me. I wonder if I have seen that. Yes, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew, you called out the best bit. I think that the top comment on this YouTube video is "Welcome back. This won't be your last time watching this,"
which is accurate.
Which, yeah, I watched it once earlier. I'm watching it right now as I say what I'm saying right now. And I've watched it multiple times beforehand, all independent of this podcast.
I've also seen it before this. I forgot I didn't have the immediate recognition that Todd and Andrew did when it appeared. But as soon as it started happening, I was like, oh yeah. This is that. That's awesome.
So for those listening, I will have a link, of course, in the show notes to the YouTube clip of Evo moment number 37. But to write it out for you, in the semis of the Street Fighter 3 bracket at Evo in 2004, pro legend Daigo Umehara managed a comeback victory against pro legend Justin Wong by perfectly blocking 15 consecutive hits, all while he had less than 1 hit point remaining. If you don't speak video games, it was really impressive. Incredible. This is truly one of the most hype things I've ever seen on video.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe it's all of those blocks are also frame perfect or pretty near. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way the input is you have to hit it. It's not like he just pressed and held the block button. You have to do 15 consecutive frame perfect blocks, which is pretty impossible.
Yeah. It is the most hype video to watch, especially obviously it's from 2004. It was filmed on a 2004 camera and the audio is not good. And so as people in this hotel event space start yelling louder and louder with each, it's a kind of celebration that I don't feel like I've seen since the world ended in 2012. I haven't seen this happiness in a long time. Okay. So esports has had its moment. We've got our Miracle on Ice. We're starting to see organizations pop up. And during this time, a number of other esports orgs followed in the path laid by Team Liquid. You have Team 3D, founded in the US in 2002. Mouse Esports, now known as just Mouse, in Germany in 2002. Made in Brazil, more widely known as MIB, founded in Brazil in 2003. Fnatic was founded in London in 2004. And then you've got the big one, SK Telecom T1, now just known as T1, formed in South Korea in 2004.
T1 tells you they were going to make another team. That wasn't going to be their only team.
It's true, but this is the power of the South Korean Ministry of Sports, Culture, and Tourism putting funding and effort behind esports, because SK Telecom is the major broadcaster in all of South Korea at the time. And so the Korean government worked with the largest broadcasting company in the country to fund an esports team in 2004.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be like the equivalent of being on Team Verizon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, not maybe quite to that level, but Major League Soccer has shit like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, there's
like F1
being sponsored, and then there's I'm on Team Verizon.
I am an employee of Verizon.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Playing video games.
Sponsoring, you're not wrong, but I think this is different.
Yeah.
It is different.
Yeah.
It's an extra level.
Yeah.
So rising hype meant rising audience numbers, and competitive gaming began to find some support on broadcast media. KESPA, the Korean Esports Association, had been working esports into South Korean broadcasting for a few years at this point, including at least 2 24-hour broadcast channels. 24-hour esports broadcast channels.
Yeah. I mean, sure. This would have been the right time to do it.
I mean, if you consider if esports is South Korea's football, like how many ESPNs do we have?
Yeah,
right.
For football, like
at least 8. In the US, our friends at MLG became the first televised console gaming league with their Halo 2 Pro Series, the Boost Mobile MLG Pro Circuit, airing live on the USA Network in 2006.
I didn't know what year you were going to say, but it wasn't going to be past 2012.
One, none of those words are in the Bible. 2, USA was like, what can we break up marathons of burn notice with? A Halo 2 tournament.
Also in 2006, 7 prominent Counter-Strike teams came together to create one of the first team-led esports orgs, the G7 Federation. This included Fnatic, Made in Brazil, Mouse, T1, Team 3D, who we talked about earlier. This also included 4 Kings, a Quake clan from the UK founded in 1997, and Ninjas in Pajamas, or NIP, a Sweden-based team founded in 2000 and winners of the 2001 Cyber Athlete Professional League. These are names of esports orgs that if you are familiar with esports, you have heard, and if not, you probably haven't, and that's okay.
A gaming or esports organization acronyming down to NIP is the most 2006 thing I've heard in my entire life.
Yeah. All right. We've started to see esports as we know it. The year is 2006, and it's time to move on to the first true esports boom. This is where following a single story thread becomes really difficult. By 2007, esports meant more than Quake, StarCraft, Counter-Strike, and Street Fighter. Each game and organization has their own history and their own important timelines and moments. My plan is to follow the history of the general industry from here. So if I don't talk about your favorite tournament or the rise, fall, and rise again of your favorite organization, or the flame out in a blaze of glory of your favorite organization, I'm sorry. There's a lot. There's so much.
I'm not sorry.
Send us the summoning salt video.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to gamers at the time, a change was coming to the internet that was going to revolutionize the esports world. While some tournaments had found their way onto cable, esports had a real visibility problem outside of South Korea. If you weren't at a physical event, you likely weren't consuming esports because they just weren't accessible. Maybe you were keeping up with the happenings via websites like Team Liquid or other early forums, but gaming content hadn't really found its way to YouTube yet, and there was no way for these events to receive live coverage. Until 2007, when Justin.tv launched.
Hell yeah, brother.
Here's another obligatory bullet point saying, I'm not going to do a whole ass flavor text about the founding of Twitch because that's an internet story of its own.
That's another episode that you can commission by going to patreon.com/debatethiscast.
Yep. For the 3 people who don't know this, Justin.tv is the original name for Twitch before Twitch became Twitch. And then even before it was bought by Amazon.
But accessible live streaming gave esports a place to exist. Hardcore players could watch each other, study each other, broadcast themselves, and eventually generate their own revenue from viewership. In 2008, esports orgs around the world came together to create the International Esports Federation. The IESF was founded by orgs from Denmark, South Korea, Germany, Austria, Belgium, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Vietnam, and Taiwan. I think it's pretty interesting that even in 2008, the US was not on the international scale of esports.
Yeah.
Especially because at this point, like, MLG has held a bunch of tournaments. Halo 2 LAN parties are a thing. Like, the idea of competitive couch co-op gaming or competitive console gaming is really big in the US, but mid to late 2000s, online PC gaming wasn't the thing in the US that it was in a lot of these other smaller countries. So the goal of these founding members was to foster and host international competition, as well as to act as a pseudo-governing body for esports broadly. Like, nobody's going to the IESF for disciplinary things, and they're not necessarily handing out fines, but they're doing things like signing anti-doping policies and trying to represent esports at a large scale. The IESF currently has 146 member countries, of which the United States is one. My next bullet point, hey, remember our friends at Major League Gaming? They were just kind of like vibing until they received a direct cash injection from venture capitalists. This will be a problem later.
Heyo.
No, venture capitalists being a problem?
Honestly, batting 1,000.
In 2009, MLG received $10 million in financing from Ritchie Capital Management.
Feels like a lot of money.
Are any modern ghouls tied to Ritchie Capital Investment?
Oh, I didn't look deep enough to know, but I'm certain there are. How could there possibly not be?
How couldn't there be?
That shell game has just moved a little bit.
Yeah. That same year, Major League Gaming made some changes to their tournament structure, including giving semi-pro teams a path to becoming pro teams. Beforehand, it was like you're either a pro MLG team or you're not. Now there was a promotion and relegation factor. They also acquired their first game developer that they would swallow up, Agora Games, and the VCs began to smell blood in the water.
Yep.
That will be a problem later. In 2011, Justin.tv moved its gaming content to Twitch.tv, which would go on to eclipse its predecessor in popularity. Not to be outdone in digital broadcasting, the Cocaine-Fueled Noses broadcast 2 of their 3 major events on pay-per-view in 2012. Those Cocaine-Fueled Noses belong to MLG. MLG broadcast 2 of their 3 major events on pay-per-view in 2012.
I remember this is around the Twitch Plays Pokemon era.
Yeah.
Really?
Was what skyrocketed Twitch to popularity.
Twitch Plays Pokemon was a bit after this.
Later.
I firmly remember tracking that in...
I do not think it was any later than 2013.
I think you're wrong.
I think that Andrew is right. I think it was in 2013, like early 2013.
2014.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Regardless,
so really not far off at all.
We're about this era. Like
I remember following Twitch Plays Pokemon from my closet office in the Marriott Airport Marriott I worked
in. Dude, I still would have. It felt like it was later than that, and that's wild.
But I mean, it just goes to show like how long this is like.
Well, and time
sneakily been in our lives.
Time has been a blurry soup since 2012 too.
Sure has. Anyway, go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, all good. I am really curious. I'm doing a inflation calculator on the $10 million investment to see. Sure. It would have been about $15.3 million. Not that much more, but
still
not as shocking as the 70s. Jump. Yeah.
Okay, so MLG has 2 events on pay-per-view. They also partner with CBS Interactive, giving MLG the opportunity to fully integrate with CBSI-owned website GameSpot.com, a website that still exists after being eaten, devoured, shelled out, and reborn again by a half dozen different investors.
Yeah, thrice gutted.
Yeah, thrice gutted, twice die. 2013 has a few fun bullet points on the timeline. Thanks, Todd.
It's really stupid. Then I processed it in real time with you.
First, Canadian League of Legends player Danny Shifter Lee became the first pro gamer to receive an American P1A visa, a category designated for internationally recognized athletes. This is the first U.S. government recognition of esports as athletics.
Sure.
All right. Barack Obama, the gamer president.
Yeah,
it's true.
Incredible.
Second, in the year 2013, Twitch viewers reached 12 billion minutes of video consumed, with the top 2 categories being League of Legends and Dota 2.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Also,
not surprising, and it's also super depressing.
Yeah.
This is when I remember the US entering the chat.
Yes.
Well, and it's wild to think about it. If those are the top 2 categories, those games are strikingly similar.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like Call of Duty live stream and fighting game live stream or like Cozy live. These are they are copy paste almost.
Two very similar MOBAs that both take about an hour to play.
Yeah. Also in 2013, Dota 2 launched. So Dota 2 launched and then immediately became the number 2 category on Twitch. By 2014, esports was beginning to integrate into a number of American colleges. Robert Morris University in Illinois, not the one in Pittsburgh like I thought it was the first college to officially designate esports as a varsity team.
Well, and this was, I mean, with the metrics you listed in the last bullet point, this was also when all these companies were like, let's pump money into this.
Yeah.
You just hold on. You just wait like 2 more bullet points.
This is the heel turn from like just strictly a hobby to, look, Mom, I can actually make a career of this.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why I'm guessing, like why Kyle said, you said earlier, I'm guessing like, oh, I was too young for it. Like I was too old for this, or I was born too early for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a pretty common sentiment.
So in 2015, the first US esports arena with a dedicated crowd seating area opened in Santa Ana, California. Before this, our very own Columbus, Ohio, was designated as a broadcasting hub by the cokeheads at MLG. They opened the 14,000 square foot MLG TV arena in an abandoned trampoline park by the airport. This will also be a problem later.
That's not thriving today. I'm guessing that's just thriving to get today.
No,
it is once again. Is it once again an abandoned trampoline park by the airport?
Yes.
That's what it feels like.
It sure is. It is the reason that I met former guest of the show and friend of the show, Aya, after her and a number of other MLG employees were shipped to Columbus only to have their jobs and livelihoods stricken from underneath them merely months later. 2014 was a hell of a drug. Okay, now it's time for the second bigger esports boom. You might have noticed that we're going from the first esports boom directly into the second bigger esports boom. I wonder why that is.
Certainly won't be a problem.
This was during the Trump years, the gamer president, Donald Trump.
I feel like this is going to be the like everyone caught wind of the blood in the water. That it's no longer just the one shark who knew that
there's gold. There's gold in them hills.
There is gold in them thar hills.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause again and say that following all the threads of this story is impossible, at least in the medium in which I am doing it. I've already glazed past a number of ethics and cheating scandals, terrible publicity stunts around all-female teams, and a horde of performance-enhancing drug issues. Personal favorites include a Dota 2 player who was suspended for fixing a match to get $322, and a semi-illegal gambling ring based around CSGO that moved an approximate $2.3 billion USD entirely in CSGO skins.
That's still a thing today.
I feel like there was a Steam stickers pump and dump going on around this time too. Or like a Team Fortress hats pump and dump. Something involving a Steam pump and dump.
I mean, CS:GO gambling is alive and well in 2025.
Oh yeah. Oh, it sure as shit is. I can't cover everything. I'm sorry. The only reason I'm apologizing is because I'm going to spend this next session following my favorite esports story. But I'm not doing this because it's my favorite. I'm doing this because there is no better example of the cocaine-addled, hubris-driven life cycle of esports than Activision Blizzard, Bobby Kotick, and the Overwatch League.
Ooh, friend of the pod, Bobby Kotick.
Yeah. When we joke about the room full of execs and their cocaine piles, I always envision like Enron execs before the fall, and quite literally like the Blizzard
and
like
Bobby
C-suite.
Kotick.
Yeah.
And
Bobby Sam
Kotick.
Altman from OpenAI.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember our friends at MLG that got $10 million in funding 6 whole years ago?
Sure do.
Well, they were acquired by ActiBliz on December 31st, 2015 for $46 million. Now, you look me in the eye and you tell me how MLG quadrupled their evaluation, more than quadrupled their market evaluation in 6 years.
I have my hand raised.
Go ahead, Andrew.
My answer is cocaine.
Cocaine. Hey, one for cocaine.
My answer is fraud.
Fraud.
Is it
Hey,
fraud?
one for fraud.
I think I'm gonna split the uprights and say fraud, but it's fueled by cocaine.
Hey, there we go.
Are we all
That's
right?
one for fraud and 2 for cocaine. Congratulations. You've hit today's daily double. Now, Blizzard
I'm gonna
already
buy so much cocaine.
Blizzard already had an in-house esports arm to operate Call of Duty and StarCraft competitions, which spun out of its acquisition of the IGN Pro League. I'm going to take a really quick pivot here and say that the reason Blizzard did this is because in South Korea, after the Asian financial crisis, the StarCraft scene spun up completely grassroots and completely without Blizzard's intervention. And when StarCraft 2 came out, they said, we're not going to let that happen again.
Yeah.
And so they spun up an esports arm to oversee StarCraft 2's rollout in South Korea.
Good thing everyone loved StarCraft 2, and it is still widely popular today.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, so human garbage bag Bobby Kotick announced that the focus of the acquisition of MLG.TV was because he wanted to build, quote, the ESPN of video games. Did they have any indication that this would be profitable? Absolutely not. None.
So
none whatsoever.
I'm not a rich man, but I've been in the business world for long enough to know if you're a potential investor, hey listener, I'm talking to you. If you're a potential investor and you're thinking about something to put all of your capital in, if the pitch that you hear is exclusively the blank of blank and nothing more, it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Take your money anywhere else.
Yeah,
anywhere.
Pass on that. It's sharks.
It's a real like DC building their cinematic universe after Marvel did thing too, because it's like
we'll do that, but with DC.
ESPN became a thing because football, baseball, basketball were already widely popular, and people had
been around for decades.
It's been around forever. People were all upset, like, oh, I wish I could watch more of this. And someone was like, great, here, let's make it available to you. Not this, which is like, let's put all of these things on the TV and find the audience for it. Like, you gotta have the audience.
Well, if you're going to build the ESPN of esports, you're going to need a Premier League to fill broadcast time. Now, we've seen in this flavor text that there is a near 30-year history of successful grassroots leagues around esports. But who the fuck cares about them?
Yeah.
We're going to make our own.
Well, exactly. Matt, they have self-respect and
they're different.
And are successful without their corporate overlords. We need an entirely corporatized version of that we can control from the jump.
Investors were itchy to create a league with a franchise approach akin to traditional North American professional sports. A league where all the teams represented a single banner and are individually sponsored. The idea is that investors are more likely to put in big money for a franchise league that's going to be around for a while instead of a more volatile indie league. Keep your finger on the pulse. Shit's about to go downhill.
Once again, cart before the horse, where like the NFL spun out of smaller leagues that were like, and then went around and were like, hey, you're the best of this tiny league. Join our national league. You have fans and a base already. We can grow that for you. Not let's spin 24 teams whole cloth out of nothing and expect to make our investment back in 2 years.
And well, like again, if we're going to do the comparison, like it's important for people to know the NFL also doesn't own ABC and ESPN and all of the referees and all of the players and also footballs. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
So at the end of this flavor text, I have like 3 large bullet points that I'm just going to kind of wax philosophical about. And we're going to talk specifically about what Andrew just referenced, but I want to put a pin in it for now. So Blizzard announced the Overwatch League at BlizzCon in November of 2016, with play set to begin in 2018. The league was announced to officially have its teams in 2017. It had 12 teams, each of which invested $20 million in league fees.
Christ almighty.
$20 million in league fees from 12 teams.
This is where you're going to tell us names. There's going to be names attached to some of this money.
Finding this buy-in proved
I scrolled
to
down.
be difficult.
There's names attached to this money.
Especially because the league contract included that with that $20 million investment in league fees, there would be 0 revenue share through 2021.
Nice.
What?
Hell yeah, brother.
For 5 years?
Now, again, they're having a hard time getting investors because this is a fucked up deal. This is bad.
Yeah.
Nobody should do this. But if you have enough money,
no part of this sounds like a sound investment.
No.
But yeah, you're right. Yeah, if you have money, who cares?
The first to buy in was Robert Kraft of the Kraft Group.
Yep.
The owner of the New England Patriots.
Of course it was.
Oh, good.
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Kraft Group founded the Boston Uprising, which was the catalyst to bring in other investors. I did not write out the names of all the people who invested, but you can find it on your own.
Horrible investment aside, like trying to spin up an entire league out of nothing aside. If you like the Overwatch League, I don't want to yuck your yum here, but I still remember like my first impression when the teams started being announced was like, these all look like they're from the same like corporate guide, like guidebook, like
yes, the branding book. Style.
Yeah.
The branding style was the same. They didn't have, there was no like, oh, this feels like they're from Pittsburgh or from San Diego.
The Deloitte consultant on one was the Deloitte consultant on all of them.
This corporation built offices in all of these cities, not here's a team like of fans from these cities. It's very, very, very manufactured.
Yeah. So just a brief aside, I loved the Overwatch League, and the 2 things that were super weird and everybody hated about the Overwatch League are the reasons that I got into it. It was broadcast on YouTube, which we'll talk about in a few bullet points. And it was a city-based model, and I was able to root for a city that I already rooted for teams in. I am in the smallest fucking pie slice of people who like the city-based model, because this is so antithetical to what made esports successful for the 40 years leading up to it. Because as soon as you have to compete under a city-based banner, you can't be T1 Esports or Ninjas in Pajamas or Four Kings. You have to be the Boston Uprising, the London Spitfire, the San Francisco Shock. Famously, like NRG, one of the largest esports orgs, funded the San Francisco Shock for years, and nobody really knew until the fourth year when it was like, oh, NRG can talk about it now. It's rough.
I think the city-based model isn't inherently bad.
No, it's cute.
It's just like, again, here's the 4 players we planted in this city to be on this team, more than like, here's the 4 best players from Boston.
I mean, you just ran through 3 different names. Like, those names could literally be in any city and it would sound the exact same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. So, unlike existing esports leagues like the LCS, which is the League of Legends Championship Series, Blizzard opted against a promotion relegation system. Instead, they opted to mimic the NFL. Blizzard worked with a lot of folks to make this happen, including ESPN, who wasn't particularly quiet about the struggles they were running into. Namely, ESPN was quick to talk about the fact they're having a hard time finding investors to fund teams. Before the start of play in 2017, Blizzard announced that they would convert Studio One of the Burbank studios into Blizzard Arena, the permanent home for Overwatch League. Isn't that a strange thing to do when you've just acquired a brand new 14,000 square foot broadcasting space called MLG.TV in Columbus, Ohio? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but that's the plan. Okay.
Was this around the time when you could go into you could go into any B-dubs?
Oh, almost. We're not quite there yet.
Okay,
we're
I'll hold that, because that's also one of my favorite. Like, this can only backfire.
So the first regular Overwatch League season began in January of 2018 and brought in 415,000 viewers on Twitch, while never dropping below 285,000 viewers once play started. While online views were great, Blizzard had a hell of a time getting butts in seats in Burbank, often having less than 100 people in the audience for games.
Of course they did.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, what are you getting? Okay, so like, genuine question here. What are you getting as an audience member by going and watching an Overwatch League game?
You're watching it on a screen regardless.
Well, it's this. You want to be one of the people in the hotel room when Daigo hits 15 parries in a row. Like, you just want to be one of the people there to catch the hype, but that's it.
Sure.
Yeah. That's all. I think that's a hard sell. That's a hard sell versus like
to go to
the difference of like
to do that,
to go to Burbank, to drive to Burbank to do that versus like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to a hockey game. I'm not going to ever watch a hockey game on TV, but like, I'll sure as hell, I'll go to a hockey game live for like, and pay for that, hands down.
Well, and the hockey game, there's a chance like you went to a hockey game with your parents or like friends growing up. So like the $14 hot dog and beer at the hockey game is a little more worth it because it's tied to some memories you have.
Yeah.
I'm not going to Burbank to buy a $14 hot dog and beer for Overwatch League.
To watch 10 kids play Overwatch. I'm not going to do it. Yeah.
That's tough. It's a tough sell.
So, rumor has it, unconfirmed, that it got to the point where Blizzard was basically just sending reps to UC Burbank and handing out free tickets to students so that the broadcast didn't look as empty, which is tough.
Well, which, like, that's not even that far-fetched. Like, colleges get students in the background for everything. Like,
The saddest part about all this is that Overwatch League was propped up by people who loved it and worked really hard on it and didn't get to make any of these decisions. Unfortunately, those aren't the people we're talking about today. Today, we're ragging on decision makers. So, luckily, as Overwatch League entered its first postseason, Blizzard signed a broadcasting deal with ABC, ESPN, and Disney XD, and brought in an additional $200 million in sponsorship.
You add that to Kraft's 20 million and you're almost there.
So the original revenue prediction for 2018 was for the Overwatch League to net profits of $22 million, which they vastly exceeded, largely on the back of sponsorship. But, the bottom line's a bottom line, right? On July 28th, the London Spitfire became the first champions of the Overwatch League after defeating the Philadelphia Fusion. The grand finals drew more than 10.8 million viewers online, and DJ Khaled was there.
That is lost numbers, like peak, like good lost numbers.
Yeah, man.
What? It's such a shame, like, because this is how everything in 2018 operated. It feels like, and like if
DJ Khaled being there,
DJ Khaled and everything else, and like if they had been patient and like went the other way and like took 5 years to build up to this, could have had something a lot more sustainable. But because it was like we're gonna jam this out and have the biggest numbers in the first year, of course that bubble popped immediately.
Well,
like
I wonder too, I mean, I'm sure this is like, and sorry if you have this down, Matt, but like there needs to have the discussion of like, you can't compare Overwatch to football because football is timeless. It is a game that everybody knows. Everybody knows the rules to football. Everybody you don't need a
$2 Nerf. You need a $2 Nerf ball to play football.
Right. Nobody owns football. Nobody owns the game of football.
Yes.
You can't compare one singular video game to any sport in this regard because of all of those inherent problems. So I'm assuming that the execs at Overwatch League are also like, we don't have 5 years to slow play this, right? Because in 5 years, Overwatch is gone. Like there's the game won't exist. So you have to fit in an entire dynasty, an entire NFL dynasty, 30 years of the Super Bowl into what is effectively 1 year.
Yeah. And DJ Khaled was there. That's
DJ
Khaled was there.
And in Overwatch League's defense, DJ Khaled was there.
DJ Khaled was there. Things continued to look great for Overwatch League as they signed a multi-year deal with Coca-Cola and a beer sponsorship with Bud Light. Most of the second season games were played at Blizzard Arena with a few select homestands in Dallas, Atlanta, and LA. And this was the moment that I think everybody thought, hey, wait, there might actually be something here. They might be onto something because these homestands were a really big deal. So instead of being in Burbank, these were in Dallas, Atlanta, LA, all three cities where there was an Overwatch League team based. And so it allowed new audiences who weren't saying, hey, come to the Burbank studio every Sunday to get one chance to see this. And people were really into it. People really liked it. The homestands all sold out. They were very well attended. People really enjoyed them. Then everything changed, and not in a good way. After the 2018 season, the Overwatch League needed more money. I wonder why. And they started looking for expansion teams. The second season introduced 8 new teams to the league, each of which paid league fees estimated to be between $35 and $60 million.
Oh, that's like $61 million in 2025.
The jokes aside, 2 years ago they brought in 12 teams, right?
Yep.
So this is somewhere between, nearing twice as much as triple to what they were charged for the teams that came in 2 years ago.
Yeah. And they got an extra $200 million off Coke, like Coca-Cola, not cocaine. Like they got a sponsorship.
The cycle.
Yeah. Okay.
They weren't getting money from cocaine. They were spending the money on cocaine. To be
exactly.
Again, like this, there is something here. If it hadn't been mismanaged into the ground and a global pandemic didn't happen.
I fully understand why this makes you so mad, because like to hear that, like, oh, and they did this with home stands and they were all sold out. Like, holy shit. Like, we kind of glazed over that, but like, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
How dare they? How dare they?
Yeah.
The hubris of, oh man, the hubris of man.
So this brought the league to 20 teams for its second season, which began in 2018. The time is a little like weird here, but just so everybody's on the same page, season 1 started in December of 2017, ran basically like January to September of 2018. Season 2 is kicking off December of 2018, going into January of 2019. So, at the conclusion of the second season, which was the season that ran January 2019 through about September of 2019, everything seemed great. There were teams, there were viewers, there were money. What more could you want? Unfortunately for esports fans, what Blizzard wanted more than anything else was more of that last thing, money. For a reason that is still not completely clear to anyone, a decision was made after Overwatch League's second season to sign an exclusive broadcasting deal with YouTube, pulling Overwatch from Twitch, ESPN, and Disney XD. Yeah.
Just what you want when you're on the up and up is to like limit access to
and like, right, like looking at it in an isolated situation, like it makes sense. But like in conjunction with everything that you just told us is bananas.
Insanity. It's crazy.
Yeah. So this is the huge conversation right now with college football. Or you can't watch some games even if you have like the ESPN package because Peacock buys the rights to some game. I guess it's not college football, it's probably pro football. But then like YouTube had the rights to one of the international games. Like it's so specific and like kind of what Kyle said, like you've got a good thing and now you're limiting access due to the money on the table, which is terrible.
We're 2 years in. Like this, we have not reached like this is a staple of my life. Like football is. Like people put up with the awfulness of like finding the game, how to watch the game in football. Because they've been watching football their whole life.
Yeah, because your dad's been angry watching the Browns for 30 years and he's not going to stop today.
This is 2 years old at this point. If I can't find the Overwatch game that I like enjoyed watching last year, all right, I guess I'll watch something else.
I'm over watching this.
Hey. So we swung past it. I don't want to go without saying that the second season of Overwatch League, the 2018 into 2019 and through 2019 season, was the season that if you went into any Buffalo Wild Wings in the contiguous United States and told them to put on Overwatch League, they had to do it.
They had to do it.
My favorite time in American history.
Which is another just like, let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings and make football fans watch Overwatch with us.
Yeah. My partner and I were dating at the time. And I remember we went into, maybe it was a B-dubs. We went somewhere and they had it on.
Yeah.
And I remember being excited to share that fact with her. And I love my wife, but she could not care less. She's like, okay. And I'm like, no, you don't get why this is such a big deal. They have to have that on there. She's like,
she married you in spite of that.
That didn't stop it.
So when Overwatch League signed its exclusivity deal with YouTube, away went the ability to watch OWL at B-dubs. And this story is incredibly similar to lots of other esports leagues and orgs at the time. Blizzard dumping $46 million on MLG caused a feeding frenzy for VCs and celebs. Rick Fox bought Echo Fox, Jeremy Lin bought Team VGJ, Shaq invested in NRG, etc., etc. if you haven't figured it out already, this is starting to look like an elaborate pump and dump scheme.
It sure does.
I got to go back to the B-dubs thing one more time, because like, what a good way to continue to grow your viewer base is by forcing it on people in a public space, and they just killed that in the water
before it could get its legs.
Yeah.
The problem is watching Overwatch if you don't know what's going on it's incomprehensible.
To a degree, but
no,
I think
I'm objectively right. It is incomprehensible.
No, let Kyle go, because I think I think you can be right, and I think Kyle's gonna have a point.
If it's if it's happening long enough, and like you hear enough, like every time you're at B-dubs watching a football game, you hear like the same table of nerds
erupt
over their Overwatch game. You're gonna start like looking and seeing what's going on.
Well, and I wanna say why both of you are right at the same time. Is that I imagine, like, I don't know the rules of cricket, but if I watched cricket, every time I went to a B-dubs for a little bit, I would probably start to learn the rules of cricket, which is, to Kyle's point, to Andrew's point, while he's objectively right, at no point in time does a season of cricket come out where they change the total field, they add a new style of play that has 3 balls, and suddenly one of the players can actually run over and choke the man with the bat, and then he gets a point for it. So that's why both of you are right.
Imagine if every time you turned into NFL, there was just a different position.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, actually, in this next season, you get 2 less players, and we'll tell you it's for balance.
Oh,
and
the
we're going to be really
quarterback-
mad about it for a while.
It's not a quarterback anymore. It's just a guy who just flies. He just flies over everyone else. It's wild.
Okay, but think not if it wasn't Overwatch and eventually like Call of Duty had the same deal happen.
Yeah.
The Venn diagram of people who watch football and play Call of Duty is a much closer to a circle than Overwatch is. And that's a model that could take off there.
Yeah.
Or something
The best and the closest way that Matt has ever explained watching Overwatch to me is it's watching hockey.
Yeah.
And that was like it did click. Like when I was playing Overwatch that very dark year when we all played Overwatch. Matt explaining to me, no, it's just 5-on-5 hockey or soccer. I was like, oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
And
anyway.
Again, like the big thing too, shouting out to Overwatch League again, it was propped up entirely by the souls and hard work of people who really loved it. And that includes the shoutcasters for the games. Like, so much of watching any esport is listening to somebody who knows what's going on, explaining it to you.
So much of watching any sport.
Any sport.
Yeah.
We had the like famous baseball broadcasters started dying off a few years ago. And every time you get these like, this man's voice was in my house as much more than some of my relatives. Like that's just as important as the players. Like,
and it will help to demystify any niche thing. My wife is a competitive jigsaw puzzler or speed jigsaw puzzler, and watching the speed puzzle nationals is a fucking blast. It's also completely free and they stream it. But because of like the commentary explains like, oh, here's why this is really cool.
Yeah,
you can currently go into any BW3s and get them to put on the National Puzzle Championship.
They actually you can get them to dump a box of puzzles on your table next to your wings, and you can play.
We're making it happen. It's gonna be on ESPN the Ocho again. We're gonna make it happen, you guys.
Okay, so back to the flavor text we're doing here today. Again, this is starting to look like an elaborate pump and dump scheme. But what happens when there's nobody left to buy? Let's check in with the Overwatch League. For their 3rd season in 2020, Overwatch League announced their intention to play most of their games as homestands. This would put the Overwatch League in front of viewers in all of its participating cities and finally break down the digital wall that stood between esports and consumers.
Hell yeah.
And then COVID happened.
So good.
Yeah, man.
Oh no.
I think I'm pretty sure it was 2 or 3 weeks into the competitive season There had been one homestand, which was certainly a super spreader event, and they canceled the second homestand, and that was it.
Which is certainly very unfortunate.
Yes.
But if anything was primed to like dominate in the first shutdown, it was this.
Yeah.
Like,
so for esports as a whole, COVID actually led to a lot of positive things. Many games already competed remotely online, and digital content was being consumed at a higher rate than ever before. It sure would be a shame if someone signed a broadcast exclusivity contract and pulled Overwatch League from the largest online streaming service. That would be crazy, right?
Oh my God.
I know, like, there's parts of the story that I know how it's going to end, but it's still just to hear it, to see the train coming in the distance, and I'm standing on the track, and I'm not going to move.
We definitely, we got the ending of the movie. We got the last scene of the movie first, and now we're watching it come, and we're still just like maybe they won't.
Yeah, but this time will be different.
We've pivoted to video in air quotes 3 times, and this is the part.
Yeah. Overwatch League limped its way through the 2020 season, and despite everything, was relatively successful. It seemed like Season 4 was going to bring renewed interest in homestands and a higher level play than ever before. Also, Blizzard announced Overwatch 2 in 2019, so it was reasonable to believe that the 4th season of Overwatch League would be played on the new game. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I remember joining to play Overwatch with the perverts in COVID, so circa like March 2020. And I remember they had just, quote, released The Last Hero before Overwatch 2 comes out. And I was like, oh shit, that's like soon then.
Yeah, and for 6 months you wouldn't play because you were like, I'll join in on Overwatch 2.
Then I played it still didn't come out for a while.
Yeah, I think I was going to say, I think it was later than March 2020 because we had to burn through Animal Crossing and Super Smash Bros.
It was around that time. It was no. I don't think it was any later. Yeah, it was before we bought our house here, so it was before June.
Okay.
Yeah, and Kyle's right. There definitely is at least a month buffer of Animal Crossing frenzy.
Yeah,
Todd had to play them stocks.
The stocks, Kyle.
That's what I said.
For those playing along at home who don't know the joke here, Overwatch 2 was announced in 2019. Overwatch 2 was released in 2023. There we go.
So
okay.
Fucking funny.
So
sorry, no, give me for a second. I remember because I was brought into Overwatch 1 upon the lies of Overwatch 2 and the promises. And
the only one. You're the only one.
Yeah, the only one. And I remember what they took from us, Matt. I remember they promised PvE. They promised like progression for characters. That nothing. Garbage. Just honestly, it's just too complex for a small studio to do something as skilled as that.
Small indie studio. They really bit off more than they could chew.
Sorry, I don't want to talk about Overwatch 1 anymore, or 2, or any of them.
So we're heading into Season 4. Things are looking up. We're getting out of COVID. Homestands are sounding possible. People are getting excited. We're getting a sequel soon. Soon. In 2021, news broke of rampant frat culture at Blizzard. There is so much shit that sucks here, and I'm not going to cover it all in detail. But to sum it up, the old white guys at Blizzard were utilizing their power to be the absolute shittiest assholes you can imagine. One of those assholes was Bobby Kotick. Another was Jesse McCree, the namesake of one of Overwatch's original heroes. Oops.
And not to and to make sure we're not downplaying it, sexual assault, rampant sexual assault and harassment was happening at Blizzard.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that was your intention to downplay it, Matt, but I wanted it.
Yeah.
I wanted it on the record.
I'll say it with my full ass chest.
We recognize what was happening.
Yeah.
Go find it on IGN. There's plenty of articles on IGN written about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. In the wake of this news, effectively every sponsor pulled out of Overwatch League, except for TeamSpeak, but everybody else left. That removed the largest source of income from a league that was already hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
As is standard in tech, the tides began to shift. By 2022, live service games were the new thing, and the VCs weren't pouring money into esports anymore. Overwatch League's 5th season in 2022 actually saw a surge in viewership after the release of Overwatch 2, which was released a year early and only playable for people in Pro League before us schmucks, could get it. With the 2022 playoffs reaching an average viewership of 250,000 viewers average per minute. Overwatch League also managed to convince Butterfinger to sponsor the playoffs, making them the first new sponsor to sign since 2021.
How far down is Butterfinger on your list of sponsors? And then you're like, okay, Butterfinger.
Certainly not at the top.
So, hey, Todd, Butterfinger in the 1990s had Simpsons.
They had Bart Simpson.
They had Bart Simpson.
Yeah. There's a fun little Overwatch fact. For this sponsorship, it was the first one. They developed the ability to integrate sponsorship banners in game. And so there was a big old Butterfinger sign on the side of a building, and it was awesome.
It
was
funny.
So funny. Okay. Things went from bad to worse during the offseason leading up to the 2023 season. First, Blizzard and NetEase ended a partnership which made Overwatch effectively inaccessible in China, a country in which 3 Overwatch League teams were located.
I wonder if that had anything to do with their Overwatch competitor that they were releasing.
Yeah, you get it. After the 5th season of Overwatch League limped across the line, Blizzard gave franchise owners an option to vote on an updated operating agreement. If teams opted not to continue the league and come back for a 6th season, Blizzard would give them all $6 million. $6 million each if you never come back and you don't ask questions. I will remind you that this is in 2023. In 2018, 8 of these teams put in $65 million, or up to $60 million.
So you can get a fifth of your money, or no, a tenth of your money back, and you can't, and you have to sign probably the worst NDA ever written.
Yep.
That's $6 million in 2025 money.
Thanks, and here we are in 2025. But after painting a bleak picture here at the end, I'm actually kind of optimistic for the esports industry going forward. I'm optimistic because the groundswell of esports has never been stronger.
I buy that.
Per Newzoo, which is another link that's in the show notes, the global audience for esports is expected to surpass 1.4 billion people this year. And as large investors begin to bleed out and move out of the space, they're leaving a hole to once again be filled by grassroots orgs and TOs. I'd like to end this by answering a few common questions and just like waxing philosophical for a second. So just give me a minute here.
Yeah.
Thing 1, is esports a sport? Answer, no, I don't think it is. I think if esports is a sport, Go and chess and checkers have to be a sport. Wait, shut up. Esports is a competition, but I don't think it's a sport. I don't have an ironclad definition as to what a sport is, but my opinion is that a sport requires requires physical exertion to succeed, whereas competitive games require mental exertion to succeed. That is not ironclad, and it is a Venn diagram, and I'm not going to talk anymore about it. I don't think esports are sports. I say that as a coach of a varsity esports program. Okay. Responses.
I
pass priority.
This is one where I'm like, I don't know that it matters.
It really doesn't. It super doesn't.
That's where that's my first.
It's a hot dog.
I've cleared.
It's a hot dog as a sandwich. Like, if you want, if you're making a separate distinction for competition, sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
The greatest esports player is not an athlete on the level of the greatest basketball player, soccer player, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you could split hairs and argue that there is some physical exertion required, not none.
There's a physical component to it, but like there's
a physical component to anything.
And I think that's my thing is like it largely doesn't matter, right? Terminology does not matter because you've got an incredibly slippery slope from, football's a sport, absolutely. You're going to say esports isn't a sport, okay. Is golf a sport? Golf's a sport. I think most people would agree that golf is a sport. You could argue, is NASCAR a sport?
That's the one I was gonna. Well, I think that's where the line starts to get.
Well, and I would probably say NASCAR is a sport because that takes a high amount of skill. Here's the one that I think gets you way closer to esports: is darts a sport? Like darts takes a ton of skill, a ton of precision. Practice matters.
Yeah.
If you think that's a sport and you don't think esports is a sport, you either have lied to yourself or the terminology truly doesn't matter and it's a spectrum and no one needs to define the hard and fast line.
Yeah, that's it. You don't need to define it. It really doesn't matter. My personal opinion is I don't think so, but also I don't care. Okay. Point number 2. Why doesn't esports make money? We've already talked about it a decent amount. Esports has a fundamental flaw that traditional sports don't have. It's the concept of developers. By their nature, video games don't have open access, and there's no incentive for developers to create this. No one owns soccer. You can just go outside and play soccer. You don't even really need a soccer ball. You just need something kickable.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is like a poor kid cannot dream of being an Overwatch star, like kicking a can against a wall for 2 hours a night, like to practice.
It's also not something you can spend your entire life doing. Like it's not, you can't devote your entire life to one game.
Yeah.
And have it be relevant for the span of your life.
Well, and back to Kyle's point, if you grow up and don't have the means to have access to, a football facility or even footballs on the regular, you could still train to get faster, more agile, run drills where you can't really do that for Overwatch.
There's still the dream of like, if I get good enough at this level, someone will notice me. And like, you just like, the bottom level of Overwatch is like you're in a pretty comfortable situation. Like,
yeah, you're right.
Versus the statistical rounding error of people that dedicate their life to it and get to college to try and do it and then try to get pick up to go pro. Like it is, you're more likely to be struck by lightning twice.
Sure. The other part of it is like what Andrew said earlier. You're lucky if the game you go professional in allows you to have a career for 10 years. Like, is a game that people play for 10 years.
Right.
It's not even allowed you to have a career for that long. Just like, is a thing that is available for 10 years.
They're not going to drop football too.
What if you decided that you were going to train 6 months for the game Concord?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you don't know what that is because that game is already came and went.
And like, yes, the rules for soccer and football like are vastly different than they were 40, 50 years ago. But like the general look of the game is the same. The skills you need are all roughly the same. Again, you can practice it with anything kickable or throwable, where like if you got to upgrade the PC you're playing on after 5 years to keep up. Like it's yeah.
So there's a fundamental flaw that I don't know that you can get around. There is the concept of the top end developer who owns the game, who is only ever going to be incentivized to make more money from the game. And the competitive player is incentivized to compete, but they're not incentivized to directly support the developer to make the game better because the developer isn't incentivized to support them. Half of the highest level Overwatch players I know never buy a battle pass. They spend no money on the game because they don't need to. They don't feel supported by Blizzard. They'll play on comp where they disband skins anyway. So like,
that's funny.
The main problem is top level ownership. And again, just because of the nature of video games, all the way back at the dawn of the internet, you have NetTrek, which is largely open source, largely free to play, has meta servers to find game servers, isn't owned or operated by a single person or body. It's just a game that you can go out and play. It's like chess, right?
Wow, Matt, it's like you set this whole thing up on purpose like that.
Chekhov's NetTrek.
Pretty good.
That doesn't exist in modern games, and I don't know how it could. No. I don't know how you could open source develop a game that is sustainable at an esports level. It is a fundamental flaw. But
I mean, just from the sole fact of like, as soon as if any open source game was created and did reach any amount of popularity, one of these Blizzard size companies is going to buy it. Yep. Like they will. And I'm like, there's effectively no one that can stare down the amount of money one of them like that they would throw at this if it reached that. Like, if it reached that level, they would do anything to own it. And there is effectively no one that could turn that down. I'm like, we all can sit here and say without the offer on the table that we would, but like, if Blizzard comes to you and is like, we will give you $500 million because the game you made open source is popular enough, I'm sorry, we're all selling out.
Yeah, man.
Well, assuming that lawyers don't get to it first, right?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
that too.
So, fundamental flaw. It exists. But that said, a few weeks ago, Faker led T1 to their third consecutive and his sixth League of Legends Championship Series world title. And everybody talks about, in the esports world, not everybody, but like everybody in the esports world talks about, if you go to South Korea, it is straight up weird how much you see Faker in advertisements. Because anybody who advertises a product like vaguely adjacent to video games wants to get Faker in their ads because he's a big fucking deal in South Korea. And just this weekend, like literally 12 hours ago before we recorded, we had the Overwatch World Championship Series Grand Final at Stockholm, or at DreamHack in Stockholm. And I am really considering flying across the country to go see the Overwatch World Champion or the Overwatch World Cup at BlizzCon next year, because esports is a loss leader. That doesn't mean it doesn't make money. It doesn't mean there's not an industry there, but it has that fundamental flaw that I don't think you can get around. And that leads me to my last point. Is esports sustainable? Yes, not in the way the rich people want it to be. One of the biggest problems with esports right now, and objectively my least favorite thing about the industry, is that it is being propped up and funded by three terrible places to get money from: online gambling companies, crypto companies, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Dude, that's kind of, as we're talking about this, I've been thinking like, here's the connection. That's kind of like F1 as well. Like, and I feel like golf, like I'm just like, you're seeing more and more of those three things attached to everything. I mean, it's not too long before you see, this race is being held in Dubai. And you're like, that's cool.
For what it's worth, how many, like, when you watch an NFL game these days, how long does it take to see a FanDuel ad? 10 minutes?
Yeah. Immediate. 30 seconds?
30 seconds,
I mean, they probably don't even need to advertise that much because people are on their phones to place mid-game bets now.
Yeah. So, for the very first time ever, literally 12 hours before we recorded this, a Saudi Arabian team won the Overwatch World Championship. First time the championship has been won by a team from EU and not from South Korea. It's a pretty big deal. And it's also because KSA is dumping money into the program at a alarming rate. It's almost like money doesn't exist. But the point that I wanted to prove through this whole flavor text is that esports as a concept is built on grassroots movement. You don't need massive investor funding for esports to be successful. In fact, it was arguably at its renaissance for 40 years with no VC funding, doing just fine. And it can still be that. Right now, it super isn't. In all of the research I did for this flavor text, my favorite video I found is the one that I've linked here. It's called The Crooked Economics of Esports by a channel called Modern MBA. Not an esports channel, not an Overwatch channel. It is a 40-minute video essay about the economics of esports, and it does a really good job plotting the line through all of the companies that I've mentioned today and how basically all of them are now owned by the crown prince of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which isn't great. It's not great. I don't like it. But this is a really good video. If you want to know more about this, I can't recommend watching it enough. I couldn't cover all of that today. It's really interesting. It's really good. The last thing I want to say is that I think the best home for esports right now, especially in North America, is at colleges, at universities. Esports is the perfect college sport. The main audience of esports is 14 to 18. Really, it's more like 12 to 16, but nobody wants to say they attract 12-year-olds. They want to say they attract 14-year-olds. That's the audience. And we already know that it is incredibly difficult to make money off of these sports. But who are we trying to make money for? If you're the institution and you recruit a new student and they pay you 40 grand in tuition for 4 years, you're making money. And that's doing it with esports. And esports provides an opportunity for kids to come to school, get scholarship money, participate in high-level athletics, whether you want to call it a sport or not, and really avoid risk for significant, like, life-ending injury. It's been like less than a week since some kid collapsed on a field and died somewhere. Nobody's collapsing on a computer and dying because of esports, and that's kind of nice.
It, I think, solves likely a problem they had with the computer-based tracts of like getting those students involved in an extracurricular. Like therefore, like keeping them on campus and like doing and getting out of their dorm. It also does what I suggested an hour ago of like slowly building your fan base over a long period of time. So then in 10 or 20 years, you can do the like $14 beer and hot dog events. And these people will want to go to it because it's a foundational part of their lives. Like you gotta play the long game on things like this.
Yeah.
People don't go to baseball games because baseball is a good sport.
It's true.
People go to baseball games because
it's Dime a Dog night and I want to eat 100 hot dogs.
Their grandpa and their dad all like went to every baseball game back when you could do that. Like that's what you gotta, like, if you're gonna introduce a new quote unquote sport, you've got to play that long game.
Or you take the approach that Matt just said. You host enough Dime a Dog nights that people that aren't interested in baseball start showing up to get attached to baseball.
Yeah, like showing it at beat-ups. I'd go to that arena in Burbank for a Dime a Dog night.
Right?
Hell yeah, dude.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, that is all I have about the history of modern esports. I want to wrap up by saying I am a fan of esports and have been since I was the littlest kid, going to tournaments at GameStop, getting my buddies together in a rock band and traveling around to malls. I love competitive gaming because it makes me feel good at things, and I'm not good at much else. But I think that there is a reality where esports is a significant part of culture. I don't think that it looks the same that it does right now. They are trying to add it to the Olympics. I didn't even talk about that today. Google that on your own. But I think esports is here to stay in some way, just maybe not in the way that we know it right now. Does anybody have any other closing thoughts?
This is really fun. Thanks for doing this.
This was more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Nice. Honestly. That's what I aimed for.
Yeah.
It makes me realize my thought every year when I see speedrunning like SDQ, that like how much fun it would be to get people together to go and watch that without having to deal with other people. And so hence I've realized I think I just want to watch esports with my friends and eat hot dogs and beer.
If you should take one thing, it's this. It's you should all go down to your local B-dubs and request.
And ask them to
during the first week of January after the new year, go down to your local B-dubs and demand that they put on awesome games done quick.
And if that doesn't work, go to your favorite local bar that you know doesn't password protect their TV from YouTube smart links and just screencast.
Or get a turkey do at your local game arena.
Get a turkey do at your local game arena and then tell them thank you for listening to Debate This. You can follow along with the arguments on Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon at Debate This Cast or on our website at debatethiscast.com. If you want to support Debate This more, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/debatethiscast, where for the price of $5 a month, you get access to the backlog of everything. You get all of it. All of the stuff we've ever done, which includes Deconstructed, which we just finished up with High School Musical, objectively the best decom ever made, as well as our D&D show, The Office Drones, and our soon-to-be-released first episode of Fellowship This, one does not simply start a Lord of the Rings watch-along podcast. Did I get it?
They're in pot again.
Oh, they're in pot again. Okay, I was really close.
Yeah. Colon, they're in pot.
They're in pot again.
Yeah, there's two colons.
There's two colons.
Oh, good. Okay, well, you can get all that at patreon.com. And until next time, I'm Matt Cole.
I'm Andrew. A red-white deck featuring land tax and other cards that make your opponents pay extra for the cards that you're playing. Call it George Boros Henderson.
I'm Todd, and when there were two sets of footprints, that's because DJ Khaled was there. Thomas.
And I'm Kyle. I guess 1989's The Wizard is a sports movie, Harper.
And we're saying thanks for debating with us. And if you think we're wrong, you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.
Does that mean that Matt's rock band was a team? He was on an esports team.
I was on an esports team, called H&D.
Hell yeah.